Stocks of school uniforms say prices have increased around 20% since January last year, adding yet another cost to be picked up by parents. Inland schools are opening for the 2023 school year tomorrow, and many parents have been standing in long queues at school uniform suppliers to get what they need. Parents say that while costs are definitely higher, they're left with little choice. Pule Letshwiti-Jones has been speaking to parents and shop owners alike. He joins me now from Pretoria. And Pule, I remember having covered the story quite some time ago, probably before the COVID-19 pandemic. And as much as the Competition Commission comes in and says prices need to be regulated, it seems as though the cost factor is still a problem. Perhaps just take us through what you were able to find with regards to branded uniforms and unbranded uniforms.
Definitely, the cost factor is still quite something which is a problem. And when you speak to a lot of parents, they of the view that it would have been much more significant and better if they could purchase, uniforms, school uniforms that are not branded, because they believe it comes at a much more cheaper rate when you go to some of these school manufacturers who are selling uniform. But at the very same time, we get a sense that some schools, of course, have policies in place, Heidi, and you know that they wouldn't, of course, agree with having to, sell a school uniform that is not branded. But parents believe that much more must be done in terms of ensuring that the price can be regulated. I mean, I understand that just earlier on, and as I'm going through my phone, looking at some of the interviews we had, we spoke to the Competition Commission, in which they said that they were conducting a survey which showed that there was sort of a reduction in complaints by parents of when having to come to how school uniform is actually quite expensive. But when you look at some of the complaints on the ground, or listen to some of the complaints on the ground, parents are still significantly, in a sense that much more must be done in terms of ensuring that the prices can be brought at a lower price. I mean, I spoke to some of the parents earlier on in Lenasia as well, who were actually buying from a supermarket, with actually, a store rather, clothing store rather, which manufactures their own school uniform, but sells it at what they believe is a much cheaper rate. But of course, parents were saying that it was still expensive. But again, it goes back to what many have said, that it's always better to purchase uniform just before the festive season, that to come the new year, you can actually now look into saving money and actually ensuring that you don't have to spend much when it's a new year. But let's just take a listen to what one analyst had to say regarding the issue of unbranded uniforms, which could have been particularly the best form of way to have parents save money when purchasing school uniform.
There's a reason why there's a price difference between a standard uniform versus the branded ones. You see, the standard uniforms that you find in some of the bigger retailers, I mean, there's economies of scale there, and as a result, they're able to sell them cheaper because then they've produced them in bulk. But the ones that you get in the small shops that have exclusive arrangement with the schools, they don't have the kind of muscle and the mass production of this uniform. So it ends up becoming more expensive than a standard uniform.
Pule, did you maybe get a chance to speak to some of the parents who have to fork out all this money? I mean, it's stationery, it's school uniform, the cost of living is going up. It can't be easy. Have you managed to speak to parents to get a sense of how they are coping?
Yeah, definitely. It's really not easy. And all they're saying is that they've tried to actually get some, bit of, opportunities, or try to ask from family members, or try to loan, drastic measures to ensure that they can purchase the school uniforms. That's, of course, to some of the parents I spoke to. But others really planned very well, which is something just quite impressive, saying that they'd already purchased school stationery and, of course, school uniform just before the new year. And therefore, this time around, they were just looking at adjusting a few things, such as if maybe a jersey wasn't a proper fit for their child or kid, they would return it and try to exchange that product. And therefore, they believe that things this time around actually went quite well because they planned very well before this new year. Let's get a sense of what they said to us when we're on the ground today.
Well, it's a bit stressful, but at least we're going in one place. We know where we're going.
Why is it stressful?
Well, a lot of things. After this, you must go and find those stationaries that you didn't, last minute things. Yeah, but otherwise, here it's helpful because we know where to go for her uniform. Yeah.
Have things become a bit pricier?
Yeah, but it's not bad. I can't say it's bad. Just a little bit, but it's not bad. Nothing has changed much. Yeah.
Buying for last minute. My baby's for the first time is going to Shari, but I didn't know that they changed the uniform, and I got the stationery on the October. That was the stationery list. But only yesterday I found out that they only changed the uniform, and then the grade R learners are going to wear uniform. But I just knew that grade R learners don't wear uniform.
Pule, before we let you go, let's just shift gears to a story that you covered yesterday, and it seems as though the Tshwane mayor's future may be in question. Maybe just tell us why and perhaps what opposition parties are planning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after having spoken to a few sources in regards to, that planned multi-party coalition a government meeting that was expected to take place just yesterday in the evening with the executives of the metros in the city of Tshwane. I got a sense today and a bit of information that it seems as though the mayor is still the rightful person to be running the administration in Tshwane, but of course there's still the multi-party coalition formation still wants accountability, and how can this matter be settled moving forward. Of course, this in relation to the AG findings, which said that the city, of course, had misrepresented its financial, status and its financial, affairs in the city as well. So from now, we're getting that the mayor may still be the rightful person who's still running the business and current, operations in the city of Tshwane. But of course, from the opposition parties, they're quite upset. They're still unhappy. In fact, what we understand is that they are saying that they want to file a motion of no confidence in the city of Tshwane. One must also admit that, yes, this might be not the first time for the ANC who have tried to file a motion of no confidence against the mayor, and that it may be quite challenging for them, particularly because they don't have a lot of numbers to support them to push for the motion in the City of Council. However, they say the ANC says that they will be consulting with other various parties who share a minority number in the City Council to see if they can work hand in hand to support the agenda of having to remove the mayor. Let's just take a listen to what the ANC in Tshwane had to say regarding this matter earlier on.
There are a number of options that we would want to go for. I think the first one is Section 139, subsection 5, which gives the powers to the MEC of Kokta in Gauteng to appoint an administrator. We don't want to collapse council, we don't want to collapse the executive, but the administrator will play a role of stabilizing the finances of the city. We are pleading with the mayor to resign because, the scandals that are following him are way too much. If he's not doing that, we'll have to put another motion. We will be speaking to all parties within council just to ensure that the Randall goes. We can't have Randall for another day.
Yeah, some rather interesting developments. We'll just have to watch what unfolds there. Thank you.